Brent with Prepperlies.com. We're going to be taking care of the pigs today. You can probably see right there we're driving past them.
Just keep going.
We're going to teach you about pigs today. We're going to teach you how they eat, how we like to house them and fence them, and what to do if you ever see them get out. So let's get to the hogs. Alright, so the way we feed our pigs, we put some grain in with fresh vegetables, fruits. We don't put meats in there, though you can. Some people will even feed their pigs pork as long as it's cooked. We don't. Just seems a little weird to us. But we also have fresh buttermilk in there that we just got from making butter. Typically you would use your buttermilk in the kitchen for cooking, but this particular batch didn't exactly turn out very well, so occasionally you'll have that even in your butter making and other kitchen adventures. But these are our two pigs. The white one here is Olivia. The red one is Fancy. And they are both Yorkshire Hampshire crosses. And they're very hungry. Come on. There we go. Now the grain that I feed them is just a store-bought grain that Purina makes. We get it from Tractor Supply, which is a national retail chain. It's just called Sow and Pig Complete. It's a grower formula for all stages of life, from piglet all the way up to feeder pigs. What I always do, if you notice, whenever I feed the pigs, I always tap on the bucket, and it just is every single time I feed them, it's the same noise that they hear every single time. Now our pigs have gotten out before, and what we had to do was lure them back in. I guess you caught it on video. Fancy, the red pig, just got out, but she saw food and was more than willing to come back into her pen. So whenever they've gotten out in the past, we lure them back in with their food, and I'm always tapping on the bucket. You can. Some people always say suey or make different noises. It's just kind of a Pavlov's dog effect that they always associate with food time. So let's take a look at their housing. So we've done two different types of housing here just as an experiment to see what they chose, what they preferred. We got some old buckets here, some plastic drums. We filled them with straw, and we had those the first couple nights that we had the hogs back when we got them. And they slept in them. Pigs like to snuggle together, to sleep real tight to stay warm, and they're very social creatures as well. You never want to keep your pigs alone. If you do have to separate them differently, like you've got a boar in a different pen, at least make the pens to where they're together, where they can rub noses, they can talk in their pig oinking, whatever. But the other type of housing that they actually prefer is we took the lowest area of their pen here, which is an old creek bed. It doesn't flow anymore, even during heavy torrential rains. We never get rain water overflow here. And we dug it out to give them about a 3 foot by 4 foot area, and we put straw in there. The pigs love straw. It's like a blanket for them. They pile it in underneath themselves. They get in there, and then they spin around and waller in until they're basically covered with the straw. So that area has been the housing that they strongly prefer over the plastic buckets that we've done. The thing about pig housing is pigs are quite destructive. They'll rub on stuff, they chew on stuff, they'll pull, they'll root under stuff, and they're prolific diggers. So they tend to want to destroy most housing that you can put up for them. This one has been something that there's not really anything for them to destroy. If they move the logs around, we'll put them back. A great thing about this method, we used plywood as kind of the roof sheathing. But if you don't have plywood, if you ever got to a time where you just needed some housing for your pigs and you don't have the materials readily available, you can dig out the hole similar to this, lay logs across there, and you can cross hatch. You'll lay layer across here, pile dead leaves on there, then stack your next layer, go in the opposite direction, layer that with leaves, and then just keep going back and forth, layering with sticks and leaves. And it's a very warm area for them, and it'll keep them dry, and they really like this. Now what you'll see we use for fencing here is just livestock fencing that you'll quite often see for cattle. It's stronger than a typical 2x4 welded wire. You have to keep your fencing tight to the ground because, as I said, pigs are prolific diggers, but they're not good crawlers. They have to have a deep hole in order to be able to get through and under their fencing. So you need to check your fencing regularly to make sure that they haven't begun digging to get to an area where they can get out. The area that we chose to fence in here, we have several different paddocks on the farm that are fenced open pasture, but we chose this area because we found that our pigs really prefer the wooded undergrowth natural area because that's their natural habitat before the commercial genetically modified breeds their instincts have been bred out of them. This habitat for them has been, they've been very comfortable here. They have not tried to get out except for one time. And that was because our fencing was not adequate. There was a loose area. We've tightened it back down since then. Haven't had any problems. And they're going to, a pig's natural method of feeding is to root. They use their snout and they dig up the ground and they go for roots and bugs and things that they can find underneath the dirt. So that's why we choose to give them a lot of vegetables, especially if you can choose to give them carrots or radishes or root vegetables, potatoes. They're crazy about potatoes because that's their natural diet. As far as water goes, it's good to have a water source near your pen. Ours is not too far away. It's just down at the garden about 50 yards from here. But their water dish, unless you have a better method of hanging it on a fence post or something, they're going to tend to knock their water bucket over, and so you're going to be having to give them water every single day, unless you do have a better water container system than we've used.